Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with My Hero Academia. Last time on My Hero Academia, we had a season for encounters, where basically we got a little bit of twice going around and talking about society as it is now. And we also met some new villains as well, these sort of plague doctors, basically, that actually attacked and killed other villains. And there's something about, like, they are a plague, which is also why they have the plague doctor masks, I assume. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. And then we went back to UA, where everyone went to the opening ceremony for the second semester, except for Bakugo and Midoriya, who are still under house arrest. And Bakugo and Midoriya are behind on a lot of stuff, but Midoriya just got out in time to learn about work studies, which is also from, we are also going to learn that from the Big Three, some third years at UA. There's one dude who's super huge and I guess can walk through walls or something. And then there were other two that I don't really remember that well, but I remember the other guy because he was kind of creepy. And he kind of looks like All Might, but whatever. And yeah, so I guess the season finale is going to be learning about work studies. You know, that doesn't sound exciting on paper, but I'm sure it will be exciting in the actual episode. Just as a quick aside, though, before we get started, two things. The first thing is we are actually going to be watching an OVA this week as well. If you tune in like an hour after this video is posted, I will be watching the My Hero Academia OVA All Might Rising. That should be very interesting. Yeah, we'll just watch it. It'll go up the same day that this video goes up, and we'll have a good time and enjoy it. Also, next week we are going to be watching the movie. Oh my gosh, it's movie time already. We will be watching My Hero Academia. It's Two Heroes, right? Because I know the second movie is called Heroes Rising, and that's just confusing. But yes, next week we'll be watching My Hero Academia, Two Heroes. It's pretty much going to be the exact same format, and that will also be the movie reaction of the week. It'll still go out at the same time, and it'll still be, you know, highlight reaction, but it'll be a longer highlight because it's a friggin' longer movie, I assume. It's longer than 20 minutes, I assume. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing, and then the next week after that, we will be starting Season 4. So yeah, this is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. This is also where I say that if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of My Hero Academia, what you gotta do is head down in the description or to the pinned comment, click on the link there. That will take you over to the reaction. You can watch it, hopefully have a good time, and when you're done with that, you can pop right back over here to this video for the discussion. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this episode of My Hero Academia. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start this discussion, I would like to apologize for the neighbors mowing their friggin' yard next door. Hopefully that's not too distracting. They'll be done. They'll be done sometime during the discussion, so we'll just have to power through it. Alrighty, that is the end of the third season of My Hero Academia. Man, oh man, I can't believe we've actually made it this far. Oh man. Now, it's unfortunate that we're not going to, you know, jump right into the next season next week, but it's more, I guess, more fortunate the next week we're watching the movie. So, yeah. This will be very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Okay, a very interesting finale. Very interesting indeed. Because, like I said, you know, at the beginning, like, this doesn't sound like, you know, something that would be the finale. Like, oh, we're going to learn about work studies in the finale. Like, okay, interesting. Like, I know Season 1 was sort of the wrap-up of the USJ attack. Season 2... What was Season 2? Why don't I remember? Oh, Season 2 was the talk between Midoriya and Shigaraki. So Season 3 is learning about work studies, which is very interesting, you know? Very interesting indeed. So yeah, like, it's it's just a very interesting sort of finale, but it works. And hey, there was a fight in it where Mirio Togata just completely bodied all of Class 1A, with the exception of Bakugo and Todoroki. Bakugo not being there, and Todoroki just not even trying. He's just like, I'm not fighting, no. Would have been interesting to see, you know? Would have been interesting, but I don't think it would have really done anything, you know? So, oh man. What an interesting power, too. So interesting, because it's not just the normal, like, basically like a ghost where it's just, pass through objects and stuff. Like, no, there's a lot of skill involved in this, you know? So, oh boy. We can go ahead and hop into the notes on this one. The first thing I wrote down is the Big Three. Now, I figured out Togata's name, which, thanks a lot for another name that sounds similar to another name. Togata, instead of, you know, we're used to saying Toga, Himiko Toga, now it's Mirio Togata. Oh, man. It's like how it's like, wasn't there like Koda and Kota, Koda, and then in Class 1B, there's like Kodai or whatever, which people kind of just say as Koda again. So, thanks for that. Too many similar names going on is all I'm saying. So, yeah. But yeah, this was still pretty interesting. I liked the three of them. They were very interesting, like, because yeah, it's like, okay, last year they were at the sports festival, which is really cool. But they didn't take home any medals. Like, they didn't actually win that much, but they're still considered the best of the best. They are the top students at UA, which is very interesting. I'm curious about the other two, like what their quirks are, because we didn't really see that. All we saw was Togata's quirk. So yeah, that was really interesting. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. I like how they're so weird too. Like there's the one guy who basically has stage fright. He doesn't want to, you know, talk in front of a group of people. So that was kind of funny. And then we had the girl who was just all sorts of like too personal, you know. It's like, oh, Todoroki, how did you get that scar? And it's like, well, that's and you know, messing with Ashido's horns and everything. Like, this girl was getting way too like personal, you know. So that was pretty interesting. But I liked her. And then we got Togata, who was just weird. He was just weird, you know. It's interesting because it's like, you know, at first I was like, okay, why does he get naked? Like, well, why did he do that? But I mean, technically he doesn't do it intentionally. The only reason he does that is because he literally just passes through his own clothes, you know? Now I'm curious if his suit, if his like hero suit does the same thing, because we've only seen him in the sports festival outfits, the sports festival uniforms. So I'd be curious if his hero suit does that too. I don't know. That would be very interesting. But yeah, so, which also, okay, so here's another thing. You know, he talks about like pretty much once he, you know, completely like goes back to normal while he's within matter, it literally just pops him right out, which I like, because that is also, that's something that, you know, I've always thought about with something like, you know, if you have some sort of like a ghost power and you pass through an object, if you become solid again, are you just like fused into that item? No, I like this. That it actually does spit him back out, basically. And with that, he can control like where he goes. And it's through all that skill that he's able to, you know, zoom around to the other side of his opponent. So I like that. But yeah, so that was pretty interesting. But last episode, these friggin' people, every friggin' Monday, they mow their lawn and it interrupts one of my videos. Normally it's Breaking Bad, but today it's MHA. Thanks for that. We're on the season finale, you know? Drives me up a wall. Anyway. Now last episode we saw him, you know, just with his face out, And it's interesting because it's like, okay, well, how does that work? Does he only make his face solid once it's like out? I guess that must be it, because he's also, had because he explained, like, when he passes through a wall, the entire process is he makes his entire body intangible except for one of his feet. Then he goes through, and then when he takes a step on the other side, he makes that foot solid, then makes the other foot intangible, passes through with the rest of him, which is honestly a complex process. But that was very interesting. So I'm curious, like, how that also works with his head, But yeah, that was very, very interesting. And we got technically 1 versus 19, because Todoroki did not do anything. I'm gonna wait. Editor me, we're gonna cut ahead to when these people shut the hell up so that I can talk. Alright, it sounds like they're done. At the very least, they moved to a different part of that lawn. Sorry, that's so incredibly annoying. I'm starting to think I might need to change my filming days, because it is consistently on Monday when the neighbor has their lawn mowed, and I film on Mondays, so I think starting to think I might need to change my days here. So, okay. 1v18, not 1v19, because Todoroki did not participate. Now, it's interesting because, honestly, he has a good point, he doesn't have his provisional license, he failed. Which also means, I would assume, he can't go on work studies. So, it'll be very interesting to see, like, what he's going to be doing for a while. So, yeah. But I like the whole thing about Togata's skill, It's not that he has a super crazy awesome quirk, but it's his skill that allows him to be pretty much number one. And I do like Aizawa saying, look, if anyone is going to take over the number one hero spot, pro or anyone, it's going to be that guy. And to be fair, yes, he does look a lot like All Might, but this is a happy guy, Like, he honestly has the personality down, too. Like, this is kind of, not only should all the students be, looking up to them looking up to the big three because they're the best, Midoriya kind of needs to look up to Togata, because this is his main, like, I don't want to say rival, but I mean, kinda, yeah. And I like how they say, like, yeah, his quirk honestly held him back, It held him back because he had such a learning curve with it, And at first, he was at the bottom, but he persevered so much to now he's one of the big three, And that is honestly Midoriya. Midoriya had a quirk that was honestly a hindrance on him because he kept breaking himself. But now he's getting stronger and stronger, and he's getting better, and he's starting to really rise in the ranks, especially with the development of full cowling. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see how Deku now progresses, like Togata. I hope we get to keep Togata around. Like, I want to get to know the three of them more, So, yeah. And I do like, obviously how they explained the whole thing of, how he's basically released from the ground when he goes into completely solid matter. So I like that too. And it also makes sense that, yeah, he pretty much has to hold his breath when he does that, because even if his lungs try to breathe, all that air is just going to pass right through his body. He also can't see. He also can't feel anything. He's basically completely devoid of everything when he passes through into a completely solid object. So it's his own skill. He has to predict where he will end up, and he figures it out, and that's how he's that good. It's incredible. And he got all of this from experience, from his own work studies. He worked with a pro, and then he did more. He didn't stop at just the work study, but he kept going and kept doing more and more until eventually now, yes, he is one of the big three. So I like that. I really do like that. So man, these work studies are going to be intense. Now we also got, it's possible that Class 1A will not be getting work studies. The teachers still need to decide whether or not they're going to be doing that. Now, to be fair, this is a show, so I imagine that is going to happen. But I like that. I do like that. Yes, we do have to think about. They do have to think about it, even though yes, this is a show. We can pretty much know that this is going to happen. But it makes sense that they would not just rush into it. And I like, what Aizawa says, like, yeah, we're going to have to deal with what the media thinks about this. Like, how we're going to tell the media that Class 1A, or not even just Class 1A, but also Class 1B, how they're going to go to work studies, So that's pretty interesting. We also had to talk about connections with Gran Torino, which was pretty cool. And I like, Gran Torino giving him shit and stuff. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. And, for a little bit, I was starting to think like, oh, well, couldn't you do a work study with All Might? It's like, well, not when he's retired. It's like, you moron, of course you can't do that. Which, that was the thing, was when the internships rolled around, I honestly thought Midoriya would intern with All Might, and then it was Gran Torino. But I imagine none of the faculty were taking on interns, So, that's the thing. But yeah, that was really interesting. And I like, going to Gran Torino, like, hey, are you going to take anyone on in a work study? But no, he's busy. He last time we saw him, I guess, was when he said, like, oh, we're going to investigate Tomura Shigaraki. So, yeah. But we do have that Midoriya should think about All Might's old sidekick, which was pretty cool. Now, we've heard about David Shield from the special episode, and also that apparently we're going to be meeting him in the movie. We're going to be meeting him and his daughter in the movie, because that's, that takes place just after the special episode. So I would be very curious. I'm very curious if that's who we're talking about here. If we are talking about doing a work study with David Shield, but he's an American. He's an American. I'm pretty sure, like they said, they live in America. So would he be in Japan to do a work study for Midoriya? Not sure about that, but maybe it's another sidekick. I mean, you kind of have to imagine All Might had more than one sidekick. But yeah. But that's just a little interesting thing, especially because they don't say whether or not they're referring to David Shield. It kind of leaves it open to like, oh, well, who's it going to be? I guess we'll have to see in season 4. But that also does remind us to go see the movie to see All Might's, or at least one of All Might's former sidekicks in the movie. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then we got Overhaul is the name of the Plague Doctor Mask Man. The Plague Doctor with the frock coat, which was interesting. He's such an interesting design. But yeah, he is going to be joining, or possibly joining, the League of Villains. Now, with people, with that one guy being like, oh yeah, we're investigating him and stuff, and he's our main target and stuff, and it's like, oh, well, he's talking with the League of Villains. This is starting to sound like Stain. But Stain didn't actually join the League of Villains, so I'll be interested to see what we're going to be doing with Overhaul. So yeah. But this was a really great episode, honestly. Even though it's like, yeah, on paper you wouldn't think this would be the season finale, this was really, really good. So I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to get to everything else. We have so much to do. Once again, later on today, when this episode goes up, we will also be watching the OVA, All Might Rising. Don't know what that's about, but we'll watch it. And next week, we will be watching My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, which I can already see is right here on Amazon, so that's great. So yes, next week, My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, and then after that, we start Season 4. which was the first season that was airing while I was doing these videos. And it's one of those things where it's like everyone was watching the current season of the show, and I was like, I was back in the sports festival, I think, when that started airing. So I was like super jealous, like, oh, I want to see it, but I've come the long way round, as the doctor would say, I guess. So yeah, I'm excited to get to season 4 though, and I believe I should be able to catch up with all of season 4 before season 5 comes out. So yeah, that'll be very fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Hero Academia reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later. 歩くほどに靴底が